Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Piper's Academy. All kinds of great stuff on the show for you today. We're going to be taking a look at, is there a possibility of war with Iran coming up? Is there going to be an economic effect pushing over into the United States out of what just happened in China? Massive Evergrande liquidation. And we've also got some news on XRP. We got some news on Bitcoin, on a new ETF, and a whole lot more. We could be on the precipice of a perfect storm for a Bitcoin crash, but there might be some upside too. So we're going to be taking a look at all of that today on Piper Academy, everybody. Class is in session. Everybody, welcome to Piper's Academy. I am Army Piper, your host here on the show. We are coming at you live every single Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you guys the news, the markets, and the charts, everything you need to have knowledge, because knowledge is profit. Thanks for joining us here today. We're going to be taking a look at some in-depth. We could have the perfect storm going right now for not just a Bitcoin crash, not just a crypto crash. We could be seeing the precipice of a possible economic slide, if you want to call it that, a slip. Nothing's going to go to zero, but we do have the perfect storm. We got FOMC this week. That's going to be on Wednesday. We've got we got pressure on Biden to respond to not just Iranian militias. We've been responding to the militias like the Houthis and stuff like that over in the Middle East. Now there's pressure for him to actually respond to Tehran, and that could be, potentially, another Middle Eastern war coming soon to a theater near you. We could be seeing that. And then also, like we were talking about in the intro, Evergrande liquidation, second largest property land lender in the entire world is Evergrande in China. So we could be seeing that getting picked up into China's economic woes. And when China gets a cold, when China gets a cough, we get the cold. Just like when we get the sneeze, they get the cold too. So it goes back and forth there. But I don't do this show by myself, thank God, because we've got a lot to go over today, and I'm going to need my whole team here, guys. Let me go ahead and bring up the team. It's the OC guy in TradeFly. What's up, fellas?
What's going on? Happy to be here. Happy to get this week started. Get with you guys in the chat.
It's a crazy week started already, and it's only Monday morning.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it though, man. It gives us something to talk about, right?
That's right. It does. It does. OC, how you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm very excited to see what this weekend or this week is going to be happening all across the country and all across the world. I was a little bit concerned for the W things, but I mean, it's just part of living, like we haven't been through something so big on my lifetime. So let's see if we can spare that out of our time. So yeah.
Awesome. I'm sitting here looking over at the chat. Shout out to Lex Caliber. Shout out to Alexander G. Dave Digital is in here. Gia S is in here. Crux Crypto. Eric Wallen. We got Clarence Slade in here. Christian Major, and a whole lot more. If I didn't say your name, I don't mean any offense by it. We just got to get going. But shout out to everybody in the chat. And if you guys are here watching this and you're new here, if you haven't come and seen the Piper Academy with my whole team here, then please do me a favor. Go ahead, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell, get notified when we do this every day. And if you don't want to hit the like yet, that's fine. Stick around, watch the content. If you think you got anything out of it, hit it later. But before you leave, smash that like. Guys, let's go ahead and get into the news today. We got a lot of stuff moving on this. I literally just watched Bonk pop up as a bubble on my chart out of nowhere. It was small, it just got big, and it says bonk down 4%. So evidently we got some movement in the charts. We're going to be getting the TA and everything here, guys. Jumping over right now, though, we are looking at these at this news right now. You can see here on Crypto Bubbles for the past day, a lot of red on here. We do have some green, but yesterday over the weekend, Bitcoin got a little bit of a bounce up. Might have been exactly where I said it was going to be on Friday, but we'll be taking a look at that. But right now, for the past hour, let's take a look at these. Bitcoin down, Ethereum down. You can see a lot of red here. Cardano up a little bit, 0.3%, still down 1.1% for the day, though. Man, these weekly reds are just brutal. Let's see here. Polkadot. Polygon. I saw Polkadot above it. Polygon down 2.5%. Polkadot, though, up 0.8%. So looking like mixed markets right now, and I think that's what you're going to see a lot of here. Who else had big moves? Anybody? Looks like Monero, privacy tokens, rocking it out there. So up 5% for the day. Everything else pretty much red except for Sui. I do have some Sui here. Sui's got 4.6% to the upside. I'm glad to see that. But overall, a little bit down this morning, pullback after yesterday. Yesterday, green day for a lot of things. So let's jump over here, take a look at the liquidations. Taking a look at the liquidations here, guys, in the 24 hours, past 24 hour, 34,359 traders were liquidated. The total liquidations coming in at about $80.86 million there. Largest single liquidation on OKX, it was Ethereum, with a liquidation of $2.73 million. Let's jump over here, guys. Earnings reports this week, and this is going to be very important because it's literally one of the things that we're going to talk about that's going on this week. 20% of the S&P's companies that are within what makes up the S&P 500, 20% of those companies are going to be having their earnings reports this week. So looking here today, before the opening, which has already happened, Phillips, Provident, nothing major here. Let's look at the after close here today. Whirlpool, nothing major there. I think we're going to get into the major ones tomorrow with Pfizer, UPS, JetBlue, GM, your car companies, Marathon Gas, not to be confused with Marathon Digital. That is a mining company for Bitcoin. Starbucks, AMD, Microsoft in there. And then throughout the week, we got Boeing. I'm pretty sure Boeing is not going to be doing well this week. I literally was watching a TikTok yesterday, and the guy was going over to Egypt. He was playing like he was flying over to Egypt to go tell them to put the Book of the Dead back where they found it. But just right in the middle of it, out of nowhere, at the airport, he said, "Excuse me, is this airplane that I'm flying on, is it made by Boeing?" And the guy said, "Yes, it is." He goes, "No, thanks. I'll take a boat." So not even relative to the joke or to the thing that he was doing, but a jab at Boeing nonetheless, right in the middle of it. So yeah, I'm pretty sure Boeing's earnings reports probably not stellar this week, guys. Looking here, you got NASDAQ tomorrow also. And then Amazon, Apple, Meta. Thursday's going to be the big one here, guys, with the tech companies. Sirius X in there. Yeah, I think that's about it. But that's what we got there. 20% of the S&P this week for the earnings report. Snapshot that. Take a look at it. If you're in your stock world, probably need to know this stuff. Let's get to X marks the spot, because a lot of the stuff today that we're going to talk about, I have shoved into X. So first off, we have this is the Kabisi letter. Let me get back to my bookmarks here, because I bookmarked a bunch of this stuff for you. So this is the breaking news. Hong Kong court has ruled that Evergrande, China's largest real estate developer, must be liquidated. The stock is now down another 20% on the day on the news, and the trading has been halted. They stopped it. They said, no more. This thing is crashing. If you guys remember last week, I told you that China had ruled that you could not short the markets. They stopped shorting. They would not allow anyone to short markets. I think they knew this was coming, so they were just preparing for all that and getting it in place. And then also, they are in a state of disinflation in China, which means that pretty much their production is, they're producing and no one is buying anything. They're pushing their disinflation on the United States, really. So China is heading for a recession. They are set up perfectly for a recession. This is absolutely not going to help it. China also rumored to be pushing out a lot of money in stimulus. It's right here. China also preparing hundreds of billions in economic stimulus, along with considering a ban on short selling. So evidently they opened that short selling back up, and now they're going to lock it down again. But right now, you cannot trade against Evergrande. You can't trade Evergrande at all. They've locked it. They've closed it down. This is going to cause their economy to definitely be in trouble, guys. They can't push enough money in to cover Evergrande. So the big one that I want to point out on this, though, is if I click into here, let's go into this article and then jump over here. I need to shrink this down. There we go. There it is. Right. We continue to see a stark difference between the U.S. and the Chinese economies for now. The assumption is that weakness in China is contained. However, if that changes, then the soft landing narrative is gone. So this is why it matters what's going on with China. If they do not get all of their economic woes contained by the country of by the stimulus and the nation of China, the government of China, the CCP, then we will see that flow over into the U.S. Imports, to the U.S. Inflation. They're going to export their disinflation to us, and that's going to cause us to get inflation. So we are going to definitely see how that works, just so you understand. If their companies are not getting any buyers for their goods, they will shut down on production. A lack of production in China means a lack of imports for the United States. A lack of imports for the United States means a lack of availability for the United States. Lack of availability of goods without a decrease in demand means inflation. So just so you're tracking, soft landing out the window. That is how that is going to play out. But I just wanted to talk about that. We got another article about it here, and we'll look at that in just a second. But let's go ahead and take a look at what else we got in X marks the spot. This is good news. We got some good news in here. Fidelity is one of the major ETF holders for Bitcoin, as you guys know. But we have something else going on here called Charles Schwab. You may have heard of him. Charles Schwab is entering the ETF market world, rumor too. $8.5 trillion asset manager. Why is that a big deal? Well, Charles Schwab is 2 times the size of Fidelity. And FBTC, go back there, sir. Thank you very much. FBTC just bought 52,000 Bitcoin in 11 days. So if they're coming in and they are twice the size, we can assume that they're going to buy another 100,000 Bitcoin. So that is why that is relevant. Big news there for that. And hopefully, as you know, first off, yes, the ETF absolutely was a sell the news. But it does not change the fact that these ETFs are buying so much Bitcoin. If there's a lack of Bitcoin available on the halving, with all of this Bitcoin being held, we're going to see supply shock like we've never seen. Matter of fact, you might even see some astronomical numbers on Bitcoin predictions. We got a video coming out this week on a 2025 Bitcoin prediction. Special guest Lunar Beaches Crypto was in there, Alex O Crypto, and then of course the whole team here. But one of those predictions might have been astronomically high, like rivaling $500,000, maybe. You guys have to watch the video and see.
And you will never believe who it was.
You'll never believe who it was. That's right. Oh, goodness
guys,
gracious.
let us know in the side chat. I really want to know who your guess is.
Yeah, let us know in the chat of which one of the 5, myself, OC, TradeFly, Alex O Crypto, or Lunar Beaches Crypto, who you think has almost a $500,000 narrative on
who's the moon boy?
Bitcoin.
Who is the moon boy?
Who's the moon boy? That's right. All right, looking at the KBC letter here, guys. As we kick off the first Fed week of 2024, because as you guys know, Wednesday, FOMC, it's coming. Will we get a rate cut? Will we get a rate pause? Will we get a rate hike? Who knows? I'm guessing right now it is a rate pause. We don't see any change to the Fed rate, to the Fed interest rate. But as we kick off the first week of 2024, let's take a look at the market reactions to the Fed meetings. Here's how the S&P 500 has performed on the FOMC day ever since they started raising rates. So in March 2022, it was an increase of 2.2%. May 2022, 3% up. June, 1.5% up. July, 2.6% up. September, down 1.7% for the day. November, down 2.5% for the day. December, 6%, 0.6% down. Okay. If I remember right, I think they were doing rate hikes on these dates. If I remember right, I'm pretty sure that was the 3 months in a row of rate hikes. January, up 1%. March came back down 1.7%, and then April down at 0.7%. Ever since then, well, I guess we did have 1% down in September 2023. But if you look here, we had up 1.1%, up 1.4%. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times that we've gone down. Once that we stayed static, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I guess that one was almost static. So it's about a 50-50 at this point. Looking at this, FOMC day gives you a 50-50 opportunity for upside movement or downside movement. So flip a coin. What's going to happen with the market on Wednesday? Yes, there you go. That's the answer to that. So let's look at what else we got here. Take a look here on our bookmarks. X marks the spot. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, yes, we got the calendar this week, guys. So here's that calendar breakout for you. Jolt's job data coming out. So that's a Jolt's job report coming out on Tuesday. We got consumer confidence coming out on Tuesday. Also, Wednesday, we're going to have that Fed rate decision. That is the FOMC. That's going to be coming out about lunchtime on the East Coast. I think it's like 2 o'clock on the East Coast. It'd be like 12 o'clock here. And that news is going to be where we see market movements. And then the speech afterwards is where we definitively see market movements, because pretty much everyone knows if there's going to be a rate hike or not, but they cannot predict if the words that come out of Jay Powell's mouth are going to be dovish or hawkish. So with everything going on this week, going on with China, and everything that we've seen in the recent weeks with the PCE and all that being slightly higher, slightly lower, job numbers and all that, I do believe that he might come out with a little bit of hawkish sentiment and hawkish words. And if he does that, we might see a pullback this week based on that. Looking here on Thursday, ISM manufacturing PMI data, and then January jobs reports on Friday. Plus, again, like I told you, 20% of the S&P 500 companies have their earnings reports this week. Buckle up for an action-packed week ahead. Thank you, Kabisi Letter. We appreciate you, man. And I think that is about it on X marks the spot. Let me double check, make sure I didn't miss out on anything major in here. No, that is it for X marks the spot. Let's jump over here and talk about this China Evergrande, and then we're going to drop out to the trio cam here so we can talk about this, because this has been FUD for about 2 years, or at least a year. I think it's about a year. It was actually in 2022 that all this started happening, but we're just starting 2024. So it was about a little over a year ago. We started getting all the FUD on this for China Evergrande, right? Evergrande this, Evergrande that. They've been ordered to liquidate the real estate giant owes over $300 billion. Now, why does this affect the United States? Well, because they're a major investment company for real estate. They're a developer, and there's a lot of companies invested in them. A lot of those companies, guys, ties to U.S. companies or are in U.S. companies. So Hong Kong court ordered China Evergrande, the world's most heavily indebted real estate developer, undergo liquidation following a failed effort there to restructure the $300 billion owed to banks and bondholders. It would also be a situation where the court says enough is enough. Judge Linda Chan said on Monday, she said it was appropriate for the court to order Evergrande to wind up its business, given a lack of progress on the part for the restructuring proposal. So this group is among dozens of China's developers that have collapsed since 2020 under official pressure to rein in surging debt. The ruling Communist Party views as a threat to their economic growth. Absolutely it is. Because in the United States, we believe that debt is profit, and in China, they believe that debt crashes economies. So who's going to be right in the end? We'll find out, I guess. But the crackdown on excess borrowing tipped the property industry into crisis, dragging on the economy. Can you stop bouncing around on me? This article today and me have fought since I touched it this morning. Chinese regulators have said the risk of global shockwaves from Evergrande failure can be contained. I don't know that is true. I think $300 billion is a whole lot without fudging your numbers and turning on money printers. Do China printers go burr? I guess that's the question, right? So we pretty much got the gist of this. Let's jump over here. Let's talk about this. So does this roll over the shores? Does this hop onto a freight vehicle and transport itself all the way across the Atlantic Ocean, the Pacific Ocean, I should say, and land over here on the United States? Do we start to see effects from this, or do you think China has this under control? Talk to me, TradeFly. Talk to me, OC.
Yeah, man. So one of their biggest, I think, what is it? One of the biggest things they do in China for their markets, actually, I think is real estate, right? Doesn't that really drive their economy?
Yeah.
So,
something like
from what I've
70% or
read,
something like that.
yeah, it's like one of their I don't know, biggest investments. I guess that's what people actually like to invest in over there is real
Yep.
estate. And so the trickle down effect, I mean, there's always a correlation between China and the US. That's always a thing. And China is actually heavily invested in the US market. And so this maybe could be part of that, that those individuals that were invested in China maybe have kind of pushed, some of their investments into the US market. So, that could be part of what drives prices up over here. So we may see almost an inverse correlation because one of the things that I do on the side minus crypto is actually real estate. So why for us when our market is kind of pulling back, the prices of homes have really actually maintained, a pretty significant value, I'll say, in a when we had kind of a downturn. So maybe you see an inverse correlation there, and this is me just kinda thinking through it. But for China itself, I mean, this is never a good thing. Evergrande is one of the biggest conglomerates that they have there in China. So,
Yep.
it's very unfortunate because when you actually start reading about it, there's a lot of people that have actually purchased their homes or they've made significant investments into a home, and they didn't even get finished being built.
Yeah, they're not
Ye
even built yet. Yes, I think it's
Yeah,
over half of all of the paid for real estate in China has still not been built.
right,
So
right.
yeah,
So,
it's insane.
yeah, that's pretty sad, honestly. So a lot of people are out money, and, you look at what is the correlation, how does that affect the market over here? Well, guess look at the dollar right now. Go look at the Dixie, you're seeing a pump today, and I'm gonna put my money on that is a direct correlation to China and the yuan and probably, the sentiment over there based on that. So,
Right.
I that's kinda hard to say, man. I would think that, China would have a trickle down effect more so, but it looks like it's kinda having an inverse correlation with at least the Dixie and the strength of the US dollar. I mean, because China wants to be the big dog. They eventually wanna be that replacement for the dollar, but it looks like this is just further evidence of, like, this is how strong the dollar is, and it can withstand, all the turmoil, and it's still the one that's, kinda standing tall at the end.
Fact. OC, what's your thoughts on this, brother?
I do believe that they pretty much got it under control. And I'll say that with quotations. Because I mean, we need to remember that this same dynasty that China has been exactly. We need to say that with quotations, right? But we need to remember this same dynasty that we're seeing China right now handling the country is the same dynasty that took China out of the poverty and pushed it into a world power, right? In any and all of the meanings like military, technology, economical, so on and so forth, right? Also, we need to remember that they have full control over their digital money. Remember, they also leverage that against their population. As I stated before, I believe that this really kind of like has a deeper meaning on the new generations that might not being able to sustain what it's coming. But so far, we see those cracks start spreading. But as far as thinking that right now we're at the edge of crumbling, I don't think that might be the case because remember, if they won with a little move of their finger, they can transfer and use all of their citizens' money with whatever they need to.
Absolutely.
Although I don't think they're going to be doing that because because that will look very weak against our comparison to the rest of the world. And just like TradeFly mentioned, they're trying to push the yuan to be operated in worldwide. Although I don't ever think the yuan as it is now, it's gonna ever make it or cut it into a world currency, just because of their highly manipulated on the state qualities.
Okay. I can see that. One thing I do want to point out is that um I think today the Dixie you were talking about, I think the Dixie might have more to do with the next article right now than what it has to do with China. We're going to be taking a look at that in a second. But I think at the end of the day that uh, the effects of what happens in China and how they play this out is going to be seen probably in the next 30 to 60 days for us, not an overall immediate. You're going to have some knee-jerk reaction, obviously, at the beginning, but I think the actual true effect, how much is this weight that we're going to have to deal with of the economic swipe there, I think that's going to be later on in time. I want to give a shout out to TND Tesla in the chat right now. One of the guys over there in Invest Answers and over there with Digital Asset News with Rob over here checking out the show today. So shout out to you, TND Tesla. Just want to give you a shout out there. TradeFly, let's jump into this next article unless you got anything it looks like you might want to say something about China.
No,
All right.
I don't got anything more, man.
Word, back to the news. Guys, I think this is what we're seeing today in response to what's making the markets really get that touchy, emotional, dramatic pullback there with the Dixie pumping and stuff like that today, and everybody just really sitting shaky and uncertain. A lot of volatility today across all the markets. So taking a look here, Iran. If you guys don't know, there was 3 soldiers killed this weekend in a camp in Jordan. That the drone that did it, it was a one-way drone, so a suicide drone is what they call it. It was sent out from a base that is in Syria. And that Syrian base is an Iranian base that they're using over there, but it also had Syrians and Russians there on the base. Syria and Russia packed up and left their base. Guys, it's in Syria. It's Syria's base. Iran is majority of the people that's on the air base. Syria left their own military base and said, you're on your own, bro, because you're going to get bombed over this. They left the base there. Now there's domestic pressure growing. We're getting a lot of push on Biden from Congress and from Senate to confront Tehran directly. As of right now, all we have done in response to any of the Iranian-backed militias attacking U.S. forces has been to attack the militia bases. The pressure that's growing now is not the same. They want him to directly confront Tehran, the Iranian government, over this. So a lot of war fears coming out right now from this situation here. Iran sought to distance itself from the deadly attack on a U.S. base in Jordan by Tehran-backed militants, as President Sleepy Joe faced mounting pressure there to respond fiercely against the Islamic Republic. So resistance groups in the region do not take orders from the Islamic Republic of Iran. No, they don't take orders from them, but they are directly supplied by them. All of their weapons and munition is provided by Iran. So if I give, if you can't control them, then I would consider that they are probably not controllable, much like an adolescent teenager somewhere. If I give an adolescent teenager a gun, am I responsible for what he does with that gun? I would say yes. If you have ungoverned individuals that are acting on behalf of your ideology as a nation, and you give them the weapons to do something with it, I would say that you are responsible for that. Absolutely. So he is referring to what's often called as the Axis of Resistance, a network of militias in the territories from Yemen to Iraq and Gaza that are funded by Tehran and share its opposition to the U.S. and Israel. So that is what's going on there. There's the U.S. troops killed by the drone strike in northeastern Jordan there. Moment of silence for them. Peace, love, and, rip to my brothers there till Valhalla. So U.S. response, Washington's response will be stronger than its most recent retaliations against Iranian proxies. This is what they're saying. D.C. in Washington, their response will be stronger than previous, according to a person familiar with the U.S. position, underlining the risk of further escalation in a conflict that's already spread from Gaza across the Middle East. The U.S. must strike back at Iran, according to this article from James Stravis there. And then some American lawmakers, including Senator Lindsey Graham, are urging Biden to strike Iranian territories. This means inside of the borders of Iran. So he said, hit Iran now. So this is where we're getting a lot of fears coming on today. Guys, like I said in the thumbnail, it's a perfect storm this week. We got FOMC. We have a major, major sector of China's economy in collapse. And then we have potential war going on right now. Not to mention down here in Texas, where we've got, the potential brew going on for a, a civil war. Like, I don't know that it's going to get that far, but the rhetoric is definitely there for it. So, there's what we have this week for the bad news. I got all the bad news out of the way. So, guys, anything on this China situation? I mean, on this Iran situation? Is this where we go into? Is this where we get into potential massive, money flow, economic collapse off of war? How does everything happen if we do strike Iran? How does everything play out for the economy? I guess is really the question. So.
If we strike Iran, I'm investing in Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. So I'll start
Big
there.
facts. I pulled out all of those. I called out all of those a while ago when we first started into the Gaza-Israel stuff. And I actually can show you where my call outs were on those buys in 1 second. I just got to move some
I
stuff
remember
off
it
my
actually.
screen. Yeah, it was like one of my first
remember
videos. I was
watching
like, this is what you need to buy. We'll go take a look. They've all done really well since then. So I'll show you what they are in 1 second. I just have to move some stuff off of here. There we go. Lastly, I do want to touch on two major headlines here. JP Morgan Chase, guys, Citibank, Goldman Sachs drafting a landmark lawsuit against the Federal Reserve. This has to do with their lending lockdown. The group of America's biggest banks, Titans, are considering whether they should pull a shocking move, suing the U.S. Federal Reserve. JP Morgan Chase, Citibank, Goldman Sachs are on the list of major banks using their trade group, have hired one of the best conservative trial lawyers in the country to draft a lawsuit. So why are they suing him? The Fed wants banks to hold an additional 20% in cash on their balance sheets. You mean they want you to have liquidity to cover your reserves? Holy crap, really? The move is designed to ensure that they have enough capital to withstand concerns about liquidity and avert bank runs. So basically, they want I'm getting on the soapbox here. Basically, they want to sue the Federal Reserve for the Federal Reserve requiring them to have liquidity and be able to cover their money that they say they have and not get a bank run and have a bank collapse, which then causes the economic downfall because people don't trust the banking system, which is the foundation of the central bank, which is the foundation of the Federal Reserve. But they don't want to do that. They want to sue the Federal Reserve because they know that if they don't have it, they'll just get taxpayer money to pay it off and fix it for them. So, no, I say that the judge take the case and then tell them, matter of fact, I'm going to up it by court order, and minimum of 30% is what you have to have on reserve because the American taxpayer are not bailing your ass out anymore. So there's my 2 cents on that. I just wanted to get on my soapbox. Thoughts on that? TradeFly, OC, anything?
I am Army and I approve of this message.
God, I hate
I'm not
banks.
going to say if I approve or not, but what I want to say is shout out to Trade Intuition. He said that he just got back home, and the first thing he did is come to the Piper Academy. So shout out, brother. Thank you so much.
We love it. We love it. I see Crypto Billy in here. There's Crypto Billy in the house also.
There's all kinds of
love
OGs
when Crypto
in here.
Billy shows up, man, because I show Tuesdays, guys. Every Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Get on X, look for any of us in here. If you follow us, you'll see that we're in there talking or in there at least watching. It is the Billy Goat Tells on X Spaces. So get in there and check it out. One last thing here, and then we're going to do some TA. It's TA time, guys. TA time. We need a little jingle for that or something. Ripple Labs. I don't know if you guys saw this yesterday, but Ripple Labs, this was popping up on Well charts, the Well tracker. I can't remember what it's called offhand. On X, I follow it. It's, what is it called? Well something. Well alerts. That's it. Well alerts. That I knew it was in there somewhere. I saw all these popping up. I was like, what is going on here? So I saw this article this morning. Nothing major, but at the end of the day, Ripple Labs moved millions of XRP in a make-or-break moment for price. Ripple Labs moved a new tranche of XRP to Bitstamp in an apparent sell-off move. So American blockchain payments from Ripple Labs has triggered a new sell-off fear as they moved millions of XRP over there. According to Well Alerts data, Ripple moved a sum of 27.7 million XRP, worth about 14.4, almost 14.5 million at the time of transfer, on an average price of about 52 cents per XRP. Though the data showed that the funds were moved from an unknown wallet, BitHome. Explorer, when probed further, showed that Ripple Labs registered the sending address with a history dating back to February 2022. And then there's that well alert that popped up there. If you guys don't follow well alert, you should. There's some really good stuff. Tells you when like some major well moved a lot of crypto out of an unknown wallet over to like Coinbase. That typically means sell. Same way as when you see them move from a major centralized exchange to an unknown wallet. A lot of times that is them hodling. So historically, Ripple Labs favors Bitstamp. Not relevant. Ripple Labs, it is not uncommon to see huge sell-offs, especially with its escrow releases once a month. So while it's not categorically tagged to smaller exchange transactions for any particular purpose, permutations hold that the liquidations might be for operational and part liquidity boost. So does not mean that they're selling it off. This is a normal function operation that they do, but it also has usually been paired with some type of move in the price. So we could see a little upside movement there with XRP based on their historical release of this liquidity. So that is what I got there, guys. Let's jump over here. Anything for the people? Anything shout out? If not, we're going to jump right into the charts and get into TA.
Nah, man, let's hit it up.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I got to get my chart back up here.
Oh, I got to say what's up to Dave Digital and Mark Dutch, though. They always crack me up in the chat. So
yeah, they're great, man. I love those dudes. Love those dudes. All right, let's jump in here, guys. Chart time. So yesterday, Friday morning, I said, look, guys, we're pushing right here. This is where we were at on this trend line. I said, we are pushing on this trend line. If we can get above it, we're going to do good. By the end of the show with Magic Internet Money, I showed you this candle right there and said, guys, we are getting above this. Be watching for resistance up here at about 41,800, 42,000 range. We got a dynamic reactor up here. We've got this trend assistant. We've got the 50-day exponential moving average here. If we break through that, watch for a rejection, come back and test on this trend line, and then my target would be up here at about 42,400, which is going to be your delta median line. Guys, it's exactly what we did. And right now, this candle closes, and this sideways crab walk is all walking on that 50-day exponential moving average. I'm watching close here as we have this bottom support and this upper resistance here, which is that delta median. It's not a huge amount here. I think it's about a 1.5%. So if you're looking for if I were looking for some scalp trades, I'd be looking to scalp this 1.5% back and forth between here right now with set real tight stop losses and run with it. So also if looking at what we got going on in the oscillator, it does look like we are about to come down and hit that zero line. We do have a nice big red candle here in RSI prime, so we could be getting some more downside, but that would be that. And then that would be maybe a retest of that trend line. So if not, guys, we are sitting in a range of right on top of that dynamic reactor for a breakout to the upside. And if we break down below this, then obviously downside. So be watching for either one of those right now as we do the crab. I'm not feeling bullish or bearish. I'm feeling quite crabby with this price action. So one thing I did want to pull over here and show, as I was talking about before, where are you? Where? There it is. So Booz Allen Hamilton. This is one of the ones that I called out a while ago. Let's go to a daily chart. And look at that, guys.
Daily?
Yeah, this is daily right now. That line down there, I white lined these. $120.18 is when I said these are the stocks that I would be looking at getting into. That's up 21% on the stock side. The other one here would be Lockheed Martin. We are actually at my entry line right now. Literally, it's the support line. This white line running across here is where we are right now. So at one point when I said to get into this, we had a big run up. And then now we are down here sitting on the entry line. So it'd still be in profit, but it is back at my entry.
Yeah, there was action going on. So when you made that call, that was because there was news events that were driving.
Yeah, it was Israel. Yeah.
So I mean, there was at some point, right? It's not. No one said hodl, right? So
no, not at all.
Yeah,
Not at all.
stay in that while
I
it's
was
hot.
talking about quick
Yeah.
movers for quick gains. Yep.
Yeah, man.
Uh,
That's if it pops off, not financial advice. If it pops off again and things happen, it heats up with Iran, you
yeah.
better take note. Take
Here's
note.
General Dynamics up 16%. This is going to be Raytheon RTX sitting here, nice and beautiful, up on from that line to now about 24%. And then Northrop Grumman here got downside. We actually opened below my entry, so that's the only loser in my picks. But watch this one. This one is called Spirit Aero Systems, and they're a very unknown company to the world. But inside the world of aviation, in military aviation, they're a huge contractor. They develop a lot of systems for systems. Up 57% right now at its current price from when I said to pick that one up. So, not financial advice, just wanted to show those big money earning stocks in the world of the war machine. So, all right, let's go ahead and kick it over to OC and then to TradeFly. Let's get into some more of this TA. What you got, OC?
Absolutely. So daily on XRP, let's take a look at where we are now. We have an alert set back in the past at 0.49. Seems like we absolutely almost hit it. I mean, did not quite ring it, although I was watching it. So we have that bounce that I was expecting at that area. So what is it up now? It seems like we also have a rejection out of this order block. So I do see it keep moving downward, especially because we are below the zero line and we are constantly making these ups and highs below the zero line. Yes, we have a couple of bullish divergences, and that gave us this momentum to keep or to bounce out of this support zone. So far, it's not looking that good for on the daily on XRP, although what I'll be looking at this area would be either a double bottom or some big movement breaking back above the dynamic reactor. So dynamic reactor is going to be the one looking at somewhere around 0.57 to be breaking that area for me to start turning back bullish. So far, not looking great for XRP, and I'm looking forward to get a little bit more there, not financial advice.
Very nice. TradeFly, what you got for us, brother?
Cool, man. I'm gonna keep mine pretty quick on the DXY since we talk about it quite a bit. Couple key areas, right?
I
So
was
we have been
literally
talking
just
about the
looking at the
103.
DXY. Yep.
Yeah, we've been talking about this 103, and then we've also been talking about this trend line that Piper pointed out to you guys, right? So it was support, it was resistance, and now we've actually had a close over top of that trend line. So we've had a close over top of that trend line, but there's a lot of confluence there. You're looking at the 200-day. You're also looking at the dynamic reactor. It's all in that area right now, but it looks like we want to break to the upside, right? So that's going to be, something that's going to push the narrative of we could cool off on Bitcoin, or you may not have a big push because the DXY, there's kind of a loose inverse correlation. Sometimes it lies to us and does its own thing. But I could see the DXY very much having the opportunity to push up, especially up to the next moving average here, this orange line. So I think about 104.3 or so is a nice little target area for the DXY. If we do see that movement continuing up and right, then you're probably going to see the Bitcoin continue to consolidate in the area that it's at right now. So we'll go over to the charts and we'll look at the charts and see how that kind of lines up with some of the moving averages and some of the indicators that we have, and we'll see if that narrative aligns. But right now, DXY looks like it wants to move up and right. That could be based on all the news that's going on in China. So wanted to point that out to you.
Yeah, something that's not getting crushed right now. Uh, just so you guys are aware, ETF been a ton of buying that has happened. So Bitcoin scooped up truckloads for the ETFs, right? Something that people don't realize is if it's not available, you can't buy it. So mining companies have kicked up on their mining again very quickly here. And what do we have for it? Well, we got CleanSpark making upside moves today while Bitcoin's sitting static. This is why I'm diversified into the mining companies, just so you guys know. A lot of times, based on regardless of what price action is doing, a lot of times supply just squeezes that pressure. And what I want to point out on CleanSpark here is this. We have a break right now of the dynamic reactor on the 4-hour. Now, why is this relevant? Because when we break above this, we typically get really good moves. You can see here, dynamic reactor resistance, dynamic reactor resistance. We had a lot of playback here on it above that 238, but we're past it now, the 238. We're past that there. You can see there, it is resistance there on the 238, resistance there on the 238. Resistance there on the dynamic reactor, resistance there on the dynamic reactor. We got above all of that, came back, retested, and then pumped up, right? Let's go take a look at where we are now and compare this situation. So, by the way, there was the break of that dynamic reactor retest for entry for, downside movement there. So shout out to chart prime indicators. Right now, we're breaking above this. What I am expecting is that if we close this candle green today and we get a retest on this dynamic reactor, we are looking of heading back into the golden pocket and testing that to see if it can break through it. But today, guys, CleanSpark getting a move up 7.75% right now on the daily. And if we look at, on the past 24 hours, I should say, and if we look at the candle this morning for the opening, we're just going to grab it from the bottom here and pre-open to now. It is about 8.5% on the single candle move today. So there's CleanSpark. I did want to point that out because that is a mover today in the world of Bitcoin. And then the other thing that I wanted to show you here was SUI, because SUI is getting a move today. Really good move, actually. You can see we're getting a little bit of a pullback right now on the new candle, but we are creating a nice little pattern up here of a broadening wedge for some upside movement here. You just bring this over here. You can pretty much see it right there. And then we have another one that, well, I guess it's not a broadening. It is, but it's a megaphone, I should say. Right there, getting this push. I do think that we are going to end up breaking through this on SUI today. SUI looking very bullish today. And also, we have gotten above that delta median line, which means that we are likely going to be heading up to that trade band. There's your bottom, there's your top. So looking for that to head up to the upside there on SUI. Let's take a look at the oscillators and see how it's looking there. Getting a nice, beautiful bounce, and this is why I think that we're going to be heading up. We got that 0 level bounce. I think this is going to be heading up here, and we've got beautiful green Heikenashis on the RSI Prime. So SUI likely has more upside today. OC, let's kick it over to you and keep this rotation going.
Absolutely. So you guys can see right here, I have BNB. Remember, previously we caught BNB all the way back here as it exploded. I'm already out of that trade for a long time, and I'm looking for a possibility to re-entry. And where am I looking for? Remember that I was expecting a double bottom in here on daily. And it's been a couple of days since we looked at BNB. So let's go and watch the 4 hours. On the 4 hours, seems like we are above the dynamic reactor. Let's take a look at the oscillator just in a second. Here we go. We're going for that bounce above it. So we are building up that strength. The only thing to note is that we have 2 order blocks above the current price action. We are in a strong sell, and we are right now inside a channel. So in this previous movement, since we did not broke at this area, which what I was expecting that movement, we are kind of like a delaying. That for me is a signal that we could not be breaking at like so soon above it. So I'll be calling for this as a resistance area, and I'll be looking for a possible reversal to keep within this range that we might have at this area. What I'm looking for, it is the possible next bounce to the upside and hold above the 0 line in here for a possible liquidity grab somewhere around here, maybe going for that triple bottom, and finally pushing up in here. Just something to note is that our consolidation score is very, very, very high, and we're turning from bearish to bullish on our prime score. So just be aware that in any moment we could be making that push upwards.
Nice. Yeah, I can see that too, and I'm seeing that actually on a lot of charts right now. A lot of assets are playing out like that same setup right now. So I'm going to be looking at optimism here in a minute. So seeing something similar there. So TradeFly, you up, bro?
All right, this is going to be another quick hitter because I talked about this a couple times last week. So BITC, we're going to look at that on the daily. This is one of the ETFs. Now, the reason I'm revisiting that is because I was looking at a potential long opportunity. So I did mention that I want to follow up on it. So that was at about 31.53 is when we were talking about it, and it has moved up about 4%. Now, the reason I want to revisit it real quick, a couple things I want to talk about here was one, it got that bounce on the dynamic reactor. I said it looked like it wanted to bend back up here on the MVP oscillator, and we're getting some indications here on the prime oscillator as well. So it's now starting to trend up and right. So understand that these are a little bit delayed. So you're kind of looking for what you're seeing there on the curve as well as here on the prime oscillator, and it's just getting towards the bottom there, right? So
Beautiful
it's showing you we're
confluence.
kind of getting close to oversold. So that was kind of what kind of perked my interest, right? And the dynamic reactor has just been phenomenal for me in terms of looking for areas of support or resistance. We seem to see rejections or bounces there. Now, why I'm revisiting it is because now we're getting up towards these moving averages. You have the 20 and the 50-day, and those are areas that I would probably look for a little bit of a pullback or a little bit of rejection in that area. So you want to beat that, though. You don't want to be right on that area because, I mean, yeah, it could wick, but there's probably going to be other people that are looking at that psychology of the market. They're probably going to be looking to exit around there as well. So it'd be a nice safe about 5 to 6% play. So just want to revisit that. I think $33.50 or so would be probably a nice little exit area. So again, not financial advice, but I just want to follow up on it. Let you guys know I am still tracking that because I did make the call there.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a great setup, and I love the dynamic reactor, especially on these less volatile, more liquidity, more volume, like stocks and stuff like that. Especially like the new Bitcoin ETF. When they get bounces in that range of the dynamic reactor, that's substantially a substantial entry point for your trade. So yeah, shout out to Chart Prime on that one. So looking here, guys, optimism, and shout out to in the chat. We got my boy over here talking about his $3 long. He's in on OP on optimism at the $3 entry. Eric Wallen. Let's take a look at this. It's OP. We got a couple of things going on here, and I'm actually feeling quite bullish on OP right now. You can see we're on the bottom trade band here. For those that don't know, on the predictive ranges, we do typically tend to trade in between the two golden bands with that delta median in the middle. If we take a look at what's going on right now, we're getting all of our support off of that. Well, it would assume it would appear it is off of that lower trade band, and we're holding that 50-day exponential moving average right there. But I want to show you guys, if I throw on the fibs, what else is there? It is the top of the platinum pocket. We're holding it so clean right there. So your $3 entry, absolutely understand why you entered it. There's a massive trade band there of the predictive ranges at $3. And we're holding that 887 platinum pocket and that trade band and pretty closely that 50-day moving average, exponential moving average as support. You got a lot of confluence support right there that could be sending us to the upside, at least up to the delta, if we can get past the dynamic reactor and the trend assistant. One thing that I will point out, though, that's making me also feel like a little short-term bear is that we do have the dynamic reactor or the prime oscillator pro coming to the downside still at a pretty substantial angle. But it does look like it's starting to get the slightest of a curve at the bottom. And if you take a look at the RSI prime, we're flattening out and getting those small candles on that oscillator. I mean, on those Heikinashi candles of the RSI prime. So this could be poised. You can see here when they started to get thin, little pull up there, hitting that one-to-one line, getting thin there, downside, getting thin there, upside. We're starting to get thin right here. If we have a green candle on this next 4 hour and we have not closed beneath the 887, I could see us at least coming up to about $3.20. And ultimately, my goal on that, my full goal on that run would be up to about $3.41. Of course, that is all dependent upon us holding that $3 level of the Fibonacci's there. So that's what I've got there for you on OP. Eric Wallen, good trade entry. Just keep an eye on those levels there and set that tight. You should be able to set a pretty tight stop loss on that based on what level we're holding for support. So OC, we got about 6 minutes. We have to be off the air because will be immediately followed by Discover Crypto, because we are broadcasting live simulcast also over on Hit Network 24/7 Crypto. So let's get over there to you, OC, get you guys through one more, and then I'll wrap it up with our information we got to put out for the week.
Absolutely. So Cardano, ADA, kind of like a little bit of a weakness that I can see if we don't make soon enough. I believe that we could be breaking this range to the downside, although I still have an alert all the way up here, guys, somewhere around 0.56. So let's see what's happening. We are below the dynamic reactor. We have a ton of resistance above with those order blocks. Yes, we are above the zero line, but we are not making a big enough movement. By now, I would have hoped for already breaking through the dynamic reactor and getting somewhere around here. Look at that on this. Let me just move this out of the way. Here we go. Look at that right here. We are above average length, which means that this range already have gone for too far on a DNA or fingerprint analysis. So we need to look for a movement or a breakthrough soon. Also, my consolidation score is very, very high, therefore indicating me that I could be breaking soon. Again, I am above the zero line. I'm having some bearish divergence, and despite I've been moving up, I haven't been able to
Come back to us, OC. OC, clear.
what? Oh my God. Oh, am I back? Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah,
you're back, broker. Carry on. Carry on. We had to give you a resuscitation.
Yes. Oh my God. All right. So basically, if we don't break above the dynamic reactor soon, it's not going to be looking good for ADA. That's basically the wrap up.
All right. TradeFly, over to you, man, and then let's wrap it up out of here.
Right on, cool. So we've been talking about MATIC quite a bit. I'll just point the dynamic reactor out here. That was there was confluence there with the 0.5. So at about 79 cents, almost 80 cents, you can see, as I just mentioned earlier, there's usually a reaction off of that area. There was a rejection, and now we're kind of flirting with this area around 77 cents. Now, that's an area, just a horizontal line that I drew based on previous support and resistance. So you can see it did actually honor that, and we did get a little bit of a bounce there. This is on the 4 hours, so that's kind of what we're working with there. We'll come down and actually look at the indicators, though. You can see the MVP oscillator got up pretty high, so that kind of correlates to the MACD, and you can see that actually is starting to turn negative. You can see the prime oscillator is actually was showing overbought and is now trending down and right. So we could probably see a little bit of a pullback. I would probably look at the moving average here. This is the 50-day moving average. I'd probably look at that area for some potential support. And that's kind of what I'm looking at with MATIC. It really looks like it's kind of starting to trend towards consolidation. And so we got to really wait for a break. So looking for a break here of the 0.5. We get a break of the 0.5. Obviously we're looking up. And so I'm starting looking at the 200 day on the 4 hour, as well as the 382. Looks to be some confluence there between those two. So maybe as high as 86 cents if we get a break. That's not really, I will say that's not what I'm seeing. I see the bigger likelihood of it to pull back somewhere in the area of about 75 cents. And then if it breaks through that, we could see it revisiting the golden pocket again, which then it would get me interested, because if we see that area get revisited, I'm going to start looking at the prime oscillator and see if I see any divergence there, or at least a trend that's going up and right. So we'll see how that plays out. Again, it's more of a wait and see, I'd say, with the MATIC. I don't see any strong entries in this area because we're kind of fighting with the dynamic reactor, the 0.5, and a horizontal level of support. So, let's wait to see it break. We'll look for a break. We'll look for a retest, and then that's when we'll start getting interested for MATIC.
Absolutely. Yeah. That would be a good setup for a double bottom there on that golden pocket. So
Yeah.
Definitely for sure. Right now, though, a lot of the assets in that same situation where it's in that squeeze between a resistance confluence and a support confluence. So that's what we're seeing there. Guys, let's go ahead and wrap this up and take it out of here. Today, I'm going to be on well, I won't be on there, but today is Trade Wars. You guys should watch over there. Someone's going to get voted off today and be in the redemption bracket with me, challenging me on Thursday. Also, we are going to be putting out that video 2025 prediction. We had a poll there. Who was the bear in that prediction video? TradeFly, you were the winner, 41% on that. So everyone looking at you guys, you got any outros for the people? Give it to them now.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it's always awesome mixing it up with you guys in the chat. Super stoked to be here. Super stoked to do this every day. So if you guys get anything from it, hey, like and subscribe. It's actually right above me right now. So go ahead and hit those. We would really, really appreciate it. We're still growing. And yeah, you guys have a great day.
Oh, see what you got, bro.
Thank you guys so much for joining. You guys know that I'm dropping below 8-bit, so that's why I'm not in the chat, but I'm reading you guys. Thank you so much for all that love. I also see your guys' prediction. Very fun to see. I can wait for your reactions at that video. I think it's very, very cool. I love how we all kind of like combine together to give some targets, and I do believe that you're going to enjoy it very, very much. So turning it back to you, Piper.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man. Guys, thanks for joining us today on Piper Academy. We'll be back here tomorrow morning, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, bringing you guys the news, the charts, and everything you need to know about the markets, because knowledge is profit. We're going to catch you guys here tomorrow. Until then, trade safe. And as always, use a stop loss.
That was awesome, dude!